Back when AI had first fully assimilated into society, a nuclear bomb exploded in Los Angeles, killing millions of people. The Western world decided to put the blame on the robots and announced war against any AI still lingering about. 10 years later, they implemented a law banning the creation of any artificial intelligence. However, the Eastern Hemisphere refused the decision and continued to create and integrate the self-thinking robots, thinking that they are determined to repeat the same nuclear mistake as the US did last time. The United States of America declared war on them and built a trillion-dollar superweapon that remains in Earth's lower orbit to ensure their victory. Somewhere in Asia, Joshua and his pregnant wife Maya lay together in bed, clueless that enemy soldiers are slowly advancing towards their location. Upon hearing glass breaking downstairs, they ready themselves for a hostile ambush. The breaking sound turns out to be an American soldier caught by friendly AI reinforcements who are interrogating him. Joshua convinces the robots to prepare for retreat, and it's revealed that Josh is actually an American spy sent to uncover the location of Asia's top AI scientist named Nirmata. While using his dead comrade's radio to contact the Nomad superweapon to say he still hasn't completed his mission, his wife catches him red-handed. He tells her that he honestly loves her, and nothing was fake. However, the betrayal destroys her trust, and she decides to abandon him. Amidst all the gunfire, she manages to make it to the escape boats. But just as Joshua reaches the beach, Nomad drops a missile, destroying the entire area. 5 years later, Joshua can be seen living as a normal civilian, working cleanup in the area where the nuclear bomb was detonated. All seems normal. Until later that night, 2 high-ranking military generals approach him proposing that he rejoin the war. They bring up that he would greatly help end the conflict since he is the only American who ever got close to uncovering Nirmata's true identity. He replies that he quit when his pregnant wife died and doesn't care about anything anymore. Despite asking him to rejoin every couple of weeks and being rejected, they brought something with them this time to make sure he doesn't say no. It's a hologram recording showing him that Maya is supposedly still alive at the time of capturing this footage from 2 days ago. He can't believe it, but he sets the condition that if he leads them to the AI scientist, they will give his wife a full pardon and rescue her. On the ship, they inform everyone of the objective, which is to find Nirmata, because they got some trustworthy info that the scientist is working on a rival superweapon to beat the USS Nomad and win the war. The colonel also mentions the fact that if they get caught or injured, the nearest US base is over 400 miles away, so they better not mess this shit up. Joshua guides them to the place where he last saw the AI laboratory, but they are all shocked to see a fully functional village in its place. Confident that they are in the right place, they start threatening the locals to reveal the lab's entrance, or else a massacre will take place. Desperate to save her dog, one of the little girls points to the switch used to open a secret hatch. The team discovers the complex tunnel system and follows Josh's directions until they run into some scientists whom the soldiers start mowing down indiscriminately. After killing everyone in their way at last, they reach the location of the assumed Asian superweapon named Alpha O. Simultaneously, the captain gets a call requesting for backup on the surface because police have started to close in on them. Captain McBride orders everyone except Joshua, since he is only their guide, to return back outside for support, leaving our guy all alone to complete the objective. With no option of giving up, he continues on, only to discover the superweapon known as Alpha O is simply a mere child. Suddenly he gets hit in the back by one of the few surviving scientists who opens an emergency hatch, allowing the little robot girl to escape. Cap McBride and some others safely reach the ship, but Colonel Howell ventures out by herself to bring back Joshua and the Asian superweapon. Meanwhile, one of the Americans who got stuck in enemy fire activates a beacon used to guide Nomad's missiles. The American aircraft safely gets out of range, but everyone else isn't so lucky, since even if they don't get hit directly, at the very least, they will get knocked out by the shockwave. Next morning, Joshua wakes up only to see Alpha O observing him, yet not doing much else until he goes to scout the area, and it follows him. He finds an injured comrade and pulls the guy into a nearby house to decide his next moves. Managing to get into contact with the stranded colonel, he describes to her the Nirmata superweapon, saying it's just a kid. Before Howell manages to persuade Josh into destroying the robot weapon, the local military close on to her location. Intrigued by what Alpha O's capabilities are, he decides to ask where Nirmata is, but he gets no answer. Feeling desperate, he decides to pull up a video of his wife Maya and asks where she is. Surprisingly, Alpha says her first words to him, which are Dian Dang. At the same time, Joshua learns that his position is being tracked by Asian police, so he quickly loads his injured comrade and Alpha O into the nearest car. Whilst driving to the closest big city, Officer Shipley wakes up only to point his gun at Josh, demanding that he take him to base to get medical attention. Deep down, he knows he wouldn't be able to get there in time anyway, but it was just one last attempt at survival before he finally dies from blood loss. Back to Colonel Howell, the Asian forces decided to drive her and one of her men that they also captured back to their base for further interrogation. But as soon as the robot lets it guard down, the two Americans swiftly take to their opportunity to take over the vehicle. Joshua and Alpha safely reach the big city, where the ex-American spy keeps asking the robot to elaborate on the words Dian Dang, where she said his wife is, because frankly, Josh doesn't care that Alpha is a superweapon that can destroy Nomad and end the war. All he wants is to know where his wife Maya could be hiding. Unfortunately, the little kid doesn't offer any additional information and speaks only when necessary, so he has no option but to contact an old friend who specializes in robotics to see if it's possible to forcefully pry the details out of her. Whilst taking the child there, a random bystander spots them from the wanted poster and reports their whereabouts to the police. After asking for his old friend to see if he can hack into her head to get any information, Drew thoroughly examines the little robot and says that in all his years as working on simulants, that this strange kid is the most advanced thing he's ever seen. He mentions that the hardware Alpha has installed allows her to control any technology remotely from anywhere on the planet. Although her range right now is not that far-reaching, Drew also says she actually has the ability to grow like a normal human being, and that the more she grows, the bigger her range will become. Eventually, it will reach a point where she can even reach the USS Nomad, but for now, her range is only a few meters. We cut to a flashback, where the two of them were planning how to infiltrate Nirmata's laboratory via Maya. Drew hands him a ring that he used to marry her and where a tracker was installed. Thinking that this is his best shot, he asks Drew if he still has the geolocator that was attached to that ring to see if he can find out where his wife is. Strangely, the tracker leads him back to their old house on the beach, which was blown up by the Nomad. Sadly, upon searching through the rubble and debris, Josh finds the ring, which means that once again, he will have to start back from square one to reunite with his wife. Little does he know that police have been following them from the city and have now chosen this moment as their best chance to rescue Alpha O. Drew starts sprinting to warn Josh of the incoming danger, but gets shot in the process. On his deathbed, Drew tells him that his wife Maya is actually the famous scientist Nirmata who created Alpha O. The army kept it a secret from him because the operation would work smoother if he didn't know everything. Having no time to mourn his friend's death, he tries his best to escape with the child, but it proves worthless since they are on foot. Coincidentally, the same robot that captured Josh was his friend back before he betrayed them. All the American wants is to see his wife one last time, and he will be satisfied. But Harun believes that Josh has people following him just waiting until he finally meets Nirmata. He tells him that America's hate for them is completely unjustified because what caused that nuclear explosion wasn't AI, but a human error in the code. Just mere moments from blasting the traitor's head off, Harun's comrade calls him up to the starboard to alert him of a nearby explosion by the Nomad. Alpha takes this opportunity to see Joshua, but it seems that the robot is harboring a special connection with him as it decides to open the door. Not wasting the opportunity, he grabs his bionic limbs and makes a break for it. Deciding that the human is not worth the pursuit, the robots head back to base and reorganize themselves. Joshua, waiting for his best chance of retrieving Alpha, comes at night, where he sneaks in and grabs the kid with no problem. Just before managing to escape for the sake of further pursuing his wife, The base comes under attack by American forces seeking to wipe the area flat. Alfie actually communicated with other children and had fun in the village, so she feels like she wants to save it. The last line of defense is holding up on the bridge, but Colonel Howell commands her underling to release one of the explosive robot bombs to decimate the Asians. Conveniently, Alfie shows up and uses her special powers to stop the robot. But unfortunately for her, she can't remote control bullets, so her little ass gets shot. Apparently, despite the backup all being machines with high precision movement, they still can't aim for their life. So Joshua shows up to save the day and rescue the child. By saving Alfie, he proves where his loyalty lies. So the AI simulants decide he is deserving of being shown to where his wife is. They take him into the mountains and explain to him what the superweapon meant when it answered him. Dian Dang translates to heaven in their language. So the little kid was trying to say that Maya had already passed on long ago. She might be hooked up to life support, but her current state is that of a vegetable. Joshua finds out that when the Nomad missile hit her, the pregnancy failed, and out of intense emotions, Maya used the embryo to base her new robot creation on, so that in turn means Alfie is a direct copy of his daughter, which provides him some well-needed closure. Out of nowhere, enemy troops storm the village and start wreaking havoc, fully knowing that Joshua and the superweapon are in the area. While running away, the Americans mistake Joshua for still being on their side and transport the two of them back to Los Angeles. Back home, it's revealed that all the U.S.'s attempts at shutting down Alpha have all failed due to interference from her powers. So as a last attempt, they bring in Josh to get him to terminate her instead, because she trusts him. He whispers something in her ear, but due to Afie jacking the signals, everyone outside just hears static. Since they really trust Joshua, they allow him to accompany the robot's body down to the incinerator. But in the ambulance, Alfie wakes up and hijacks the vehicle. Their plan now is to board a commercial flight into space and climb aboard the Nomad superweapon, since Alpha O's functional range is too weak to attack without getting really close. Concurrently, the army figures out that Joshua whispered to act dead so they can escape, but it's too late as the pair of them seamlessly walk past all the security in the airport, thanks to Maya's ingenious skills. The final battle begins as their aircraft safely docks with all the passengers panicking their way off the ship and out of danger. Josh uses the airlock and emergency spacesuit, catching his attackers off guard to suck them out into space. The pair of them split up, taking different objectives to make their plan go smoother. Alfie's aim is to disable the launching system, while the former spy has to place an explosive on one of the missiles in order to trigger a massive chain reaction. The control room catches on to their scheme and decides to fire the rest of the missiles, since they already know the location of the remaining Asian AI bases, and to stop the traitor from bringing down the Nomad. Too bad for them. Alfie already shut down the launching system, thus allowing her father to set the bomb and attempt to reach the escape pod where she is waiting for him. The chain reaction starts with the whole ship going down, but it seems that some mechanical parts in the emergency escape pod get messed up in the process, meaning that the little one will have to leave Joshua behind. With the whole ship rendered completely useless, the missiles lose their guidance and drop down before hitting their target, meaning that the West has now lost the war.
Hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to have a cool ass day.